An article in Philly Voice has sparked a lot of discussion among Eagles fans as anonymous team members and officials are critical of Carson Wentz.
Sports director John Bell joins us now, and this story has really taken on a life of its own.
It's never boring in these parts, right? We always have something going on. A back injury ended Carson's season way too soon. He was 5-6 as a starter and later watched Nick Foles lead the team to the playoffs. Joe Santoliquito of the Philly Voice wrote a piece about Carson, and it's gaining a lot of attention, as we just said. He cites more than a half dozen unnamed sources, and here's one of the comments about Carson. It says, sometimes he acts like he's won 10 Super Bowls when he hasn't played in, let alone won, a playoff game yet. Everyone around him wants good things for him. He did more thinking on the field than he did playing in 2018. You don't have to be a brain surgeon or a football expert to see how differently this team plays and reacts with one guy as opposed to the other. Referencing, obviously, Nick Foles there. Once again, Joe Santoliquito wrote this piece for PhillyVoice.com. He joins us from the Philadelphia Sports Writers Banquet. Joe, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure it's been a crazy day for you all day long. People hitting you up on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll start you off with this. Now, I understand why no source would want to put their name on this thing. Carson's the most powerful player in the locker room. But why burn the franchise quarterback in public like this?
Well, I don't know if it's a case of burning, Don. I think it's a case of being truthful. I think it's a case of honesty, and I think it's a case of voices during the course of the season that weren't heard being heard. This is a guy that is a great quarterback. I didn't say he wasn't. The story states again, and then you quoted the story. I mean, people want to see this guy succeed so badly that it hurts. But also, there's some things there that need to be tightened up. You know, he needs to be honest with himself, and I don't know if he was completely honest with himself. He needs to trust the offense. And during the course of the season, you had even Don Peterson coming out and saying he did not trust the offense the way he should have. He didn't trust the offense the way Nick Foles trusted this offense. And consequently, what did we see when Nick Foles trusted the offense? They succeeded. They did well. They made a playoff run.
Joe, let me ask you this, though, because there's a lot made of Carson's ego. And, you know, obviously we just saw Tom Brady play last night. We've seen Aaron Rodgers. It appears that all the franchise quarterbacks have massive egos. What makes Carson's any different from the other guys?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for the other guys. I don't know the other guys. I do know how some guys reacted in this locker room, and you have a great example, and I hate to say a bad example, in Nick Foles, who won a Super Bowl and couldn't be, one, more beloved, and two, more well-liked than everyone. You know, there's always going to be dissension here and there, but consequently, you have someone in Carson who I think came into this season because of the success of Nick Foles. And also, let me divert here for a second. Everyone told me, and I mean everyone told me, Don, the relationship between Carson and Nick, they universally, they like each other, they love each other, they respect each other, they support each other. That was told to me across the board from everyone. But Wentz was so hell-bent on coming back and making his mark this season that he didn't come back fully healthy the way he should have. Consequently, the Eagles' offense wasn't healthy. Consequently, the Eagles' offense wasn't healthy.
Now Joe, I agree with you on that point. We could definitely see that, obviously, he was not 100%, even though the team pretty much claimed that he was. Let me ask you this. There was no reaction, though, from the team or Carson. Why not?
I'm sorry?
There was no reaction from Carson or from the Eagles in your piece. Why not?
They were notified. I let them know. No one got back to me. And I can't answer that. I mean, the Eagles have to answer that question. But
okay,
they were notified about it.
Okay. Now, obviously, some of his players have really come on to come to his defense. Lane Johnson, a star right tackle, calls this fake news. What is your response to that?
Well, fake news maybe in his eyes, but in the eyes of others, there was a very, very simple thing. There was a Wentz faction, and there was a Foles faction. And this wasn't meant to be a Wentz-Foles story. This was meant to maybe throw some light on some things. Lane is entitled to his opinion, and that's all fine. But one thing that can't be disputed, there was a lot of people that were pretty angry with number 11 this past season.
Joe, thank you so much for your time. I know you're getting some love on Twitter and also getting crushed as well. That is that's the life in this business, I suppose. But thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Yes. I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.
All right, Joe, kind enough to join us from over in Cherry Hill. And, of course, we'll have more on this story later on in the show. We talked to Sports Radio 94 WIP's John Ritchie, who also played for the Birds at one point, and he has an opinion on this as well. What a surprise. Everybody does, guys.
Speaking of surprise, this is surprising. This is something else. I really can't believe it. It's like disturbs me a lot.
It's, there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
And I would advise people to go read it. Don't just read the headline because you don't get the full gist of it. You actually have to get through the end of the piece and form your own opinion.
All right.